Welcome to the Maythorn Monthly for April. I was just wondering whether to try some of this gym equipment, but I haven't got a clue how to use it. So no, probably best not to just get on. Or this one looks quite simple. I wonder if I can get on this. Hang on a minute. Right. So here we are in Higher Kinnerton, in Flintshire, the village where I'm currently living. And just across the main road from here is one of our local pubs, and we have two, called the Royal Oak, which has recently reopened, and today we've just had our lunch there, been trying it out. So we're going to send the drone across the road so you can see what the pub looks like from the air. So I'll catch up with you later on. Bye! On this month's Maythorn Monthly, I'll be updating you on progress with my two-bedroom cottage at Trythin in Flintshire, that derelict building which I'm gradually putting back together. So I'm in my makeshift office at home in the kitchen at our home at Higher Kinnerton, Flintshire, and Colin is currently in Bulgaria, and the other me is currently in Spain. That's the trickery of video. So right now I'm going to hand over to the other Brian, who's got his Spanish hat on and is on the beach in Spain. I wish I was there with him. Yes, well, thank you, Brian. I must say I'm not one for wearing a hat at all, not since my school cap. Makes your head too itchy. Anyway, I've been having a wander around Oropesa, not just Marina Door, and I've seen tarmacking wagons just turn up and dump a load of tarmac. Doesn't seem to be a system or a plan, they just do bits and go away again. Later on somebody comes along and puts some white lines down, or in the case of just by where I live, they had to redo the black and whites for the zebra crossing on the half of the road that they'd done. When the other half will get done, it's a dual carriageway, who knows? I said we were going to try them, so here's part one. There are two parts to this month's story. Part one is about cutting up scrap metal, and found somebody who would get rid of the old caravan chassis and the trailer and lots of the other metal that was lying around the site. He came along with a cutter. He also said he would dismantle the old oil-fired central heating boiler, which was really heavy and took a lot to move. The man who came, and I hadn't met him before, he called himself Badger. He was 77 years old. He did what he said he was going to do, and he cut up the boiler, took the metal parts away in his van, and bagged up the rest of the stuff, a lot of which was insulation and just odd things. Bagged all that up, and then as he left, he invited me to come and see him sing and play harmonica in a local pub. So the music you're hearing is in fact recorded at the pub on my phone, showing the same man playing the mouth organ. Does anybody object to having a look at some pictures of a photographic model in action? This is Stacey, who went to Bulgaria with Colin a few months ago and did some of these pictures outside my tumble-down house in the village of Oresh. Well, I recently met her when we all went on a day out to Delamere Forest. The idea of the day was to set up some video shots of Stacey taken from the drone. So you can't fly a drone amongst a load of trees because you need to be able to see where it is. So we found a clearing in Delamere Forest which nobody really goes to, so it's fairly desolate looking, but that looks great on photographs. And we wanted a place where Stacey could walk as though it was a catwalk, so we found the path. I'm not going to show you Colin's shoot because that's between him and his model, but I'd like to show you a couple of things during the preparation of this. Colin took some video for me for last month's Maythorn Monthly in Bulgaria, and he used a little camera on a stick like the one I've got. We've got some shots of the camera as it is on the stick, and then he attaches it to the drone and prepares to fly exactly the same camera attached to the underside of the drone. We also had with us that day a media student who is doing photography at A level, and Charlotte, this is Charlotte, decided that she would take some photographs, so she brought her camera as well, not just still photographs, not video. So all in all, a nice Sunday out that turned out to be last week, and we're looking forward to doing some more drone filming real soon. So this is a new feature I dreamt up for this month. The Something Old will use the archives, and I've got various types of archives from still photographs to video to audio tape and so on. And Something New will bring the whole story up to date and show you what the latest technology is with the kind of thing I'm talking about, which today is phones. In the 70s, I bought an old Bedford coach. I saw advertised in Exchange and Mart. It had been designed to carry a racing car to the track and accommodate the crew in the front part. So it was a park motorhome, park garage for the sports car. It involved a drop-down ramp at the back of the coach that had been put in by the previous owners. I didn't particularly want this. I had no plans to put a car in it. So our first thing was to change the layout. On the inside it looked like this initially, and there's a very cramped bunk above the garage area. So we decided to open out the back of the coach and give us a full-sized bedroom and shower. We also later painted the coach in Hammerite metallic paint in a blue colour, and at that point we took to the road around the country. How do we stay in contact? Because if you're at home you've got a landline phone. Mobile phones weren't invented in those days, but two-way radio was. Pi Telecommunications were one of the main people making radio sets for vehicles. Even if you never had this yourself, you'd have probably seen it on TV in programs like Z-Cars.
Z Victor 2, go to crossroads of Miller's Quarry Lane, White Farm Road, Blackby. An explosion has been reported. Mr. Tom Rushton witnessed the explosion and is waiting for you at the quarry. Investigate and report.
Miller's Quarry Lane, White Farm Road, on our way.
Although they show a telephone handset there, it was more common to have a little handheld microphone with a press to talk button on it like this one. But then you need someone at the other end, so there are services set up to be your operator. Ours was Chester-based radio contact. This is the control room for that, and you will see a couple of girls who answer the phone and can actually patch through the phone calls to the two-way radios in people's cabs. You did have to say over because you couldn't talk and listen at the same time. It was a simplex system, and that's where the old over comes from.
This is WB6RVR Sacramento. Anybody listening? Over.
And after our coach days, then came this.
Paddy and Paddy, solicitors.
If you'd like to be in when you're out, ring Rakel.
Of course, we were all asking at the time, why would you want to be in when you're out? Because we used to go out to avoid the phone and to get away from it. And somehow Vodafone decided that's not what should happen. So they invented the first mobiles, which were huge bricks. They were actually referred to as the brick, and very often had a shoulder strap with a power pack, some huge batteries on that. Much later on, mobile phones became much smaller, and the Nokia 3310 and phones like that were very common at the time. And they were this kind of size. I've got a couple of, these are not Nokias, I didn't have a Nokia at the time. But these are two phones that I've had in recent years to use in Spain. I just put a Spanish SIM card in them because all I need to do in Spain is make phone calls. So these simple phones by Samsung, bought in the UK, and Alcatel, bought in Castellón de la Plana. In fact, this one, the Alcatel one, has got my Spanish SIM in at the moment. And I've kept a couple of other phones of that size because I rather like the design of them. This one's a little more interesting because it's all silvery. This was on the 3 network, and going back years, the 3 network would let you roam all over the world in dozens of countries at no extra cost. So that was a good network to be on then. This is one Nokia I do have, and I kept this because it's interesting in that its keypad is round. Never seen one like that before or since. But the thing about all these phones, of course, is they just make phone calls. Something new, well, phones are no longer advertised as phones, and the latest Samsung and Huawei and other companies like that, you wouldn't think that you're looking at a phone when you watch the TV advert. I'll leave you with this one. It looks like a camera to me, but this is a model of phone from 2018.
Free to play, dare to try. Always explore bigger things. Be young with Huawei Y Series.
Sometime last year I was in B3 with I can't remember who, and the owner was measuring up all the canopy above our heads, and we weren't really sure why. Then he walked around with this bit of paper and kept looking up and thought, what's he up to? It has just become clear. Men turned up to extend his canopy over the area that's not currently covered.
As from September the 2nd, our VHF and rediffusion coverage will be backed up by a medium wave transmitter on 194 meters. This will enable you to tune in to BBC Radio Teesside on any normal transistor radio and on your car radio too.
You wake up in the morning, you turn on the radio. It's your favorite program, it's the Brian Smart Show. It's on the move. It's on the move. It's on the move. The Brian Smart Show.
Got a story from Bulgaria now, which is fairly similar to the one we had from Spain with the new airport at Castellón de la Plana, because a lot of the same sort of things are being done to bring this airport into use. The old capital, Bulgaria, Veliko Tarnovo, has an airport nearby at a place, let me try and pronounce this, called Gorna Ojovica, and the airport is not a new one, which Castillon was, but it is an airport that's been used previously in all weathers, in fact. Have a look at this. The runway, the existing track now, has a length of 2,450 metres and a width of 45 metres, as well as lateral strips 7.5 metres wide. And the new project to re-asphalt and extend by 600 metres in the west will allow the landing of larger and heavier aircrafts. So Davey, who you've seen before, and this is him at a recent meal, he's been pushing to get this airport into use by the likes of Ryanair and EasyJet, because at the moment, to get to Oresh and Svistov and the places we go to, it's a good 3-hour drive up from Sofia, whereas it would half the time for us to fly into the country and get to our houses if they could reopen this airport at Gorna Orivica. I'd like to show you something that to me is a bit annoying. I've been in loads of the apartment blocks in Marina d'Or. I've even been in some in Playa La Concha and elsewhere, and I have never seen a garden gate turn up on a front door. What I call a garden gate is this. We enter our buildings with them, but I thought there was a rule that said you can have any front door as long as it's white. So how did my next door neighbour get away with having this black thing put over her door? But talking of front doors, mine's a bit wrecked because I had to break in once. I've always wanted a new front door, so I found out the rule about any door but it must be white, and I've seen a few other people who've been doing this. One of the problems is that if you lose the keys or the apartment's taken over by someone new, you can't get the Chinese keys anymore. Apparently there is somewhere in Oropesa that cuts them, but nobody really wants those sort of oddball things if they can help it, so let's put a Euro lock on. Well, by the time you try and do that to one of the old doors, it's not really worth it, so the answer has been to put new doors on. They look like this. They have a Euro lock, and for those who don't know, you can change a Euro lock by removing one screw. Even I can do it, and because there's no handle, they've stuck this knob in the middle. If that's what it takes, I wouldn't mind one. Back in the UK and part 2 of the Try-Thin progress. The electrics I've been giving a bit of work to this month. There are a lot of bare wires hanging around, and of course I have to say, don't try this at home unless you know what you're doing. But the power was switched off when I was putting these bare wires into a socket, and then I turned the power back on and tested them, and they were fine. 2 green lights is go, go. Tested all the other sockets around the place and then started on the lighting circuits. So I was replacing some of the old light fittings with some of my GU10 downlighters, and once we got a ceiling these will make more sense. I got 4 square metres of ceramic tiles for the bathroom floor and put a couple down to make sure that the colour was what I expected, and next the bathroom suite was delivered. The next step was to go to where the water supply comes in from the road downstairs and to connect a piece of copper pipe up a channel that we knocked out in the wall. We decided to switch to plastic halfway up the wall, so we were able to poke the plastic pipe from upstairs. At the top there's an elbow, a plastic elbow in the bedroom, and then some of this poly pipe was taken along the bedroom floor, clipped into place, and also run through into the old airing cupboard where there's to be a new copper cylinder for hot water. So a T section was put in here for that. Then the pipe was pushed through into the bathroom and the various T pieces were added. And that's all we can show you for this month's Maythorn Monthly, because snow stopped play once again. It's back. First week in April, it's snowing outside and we're going home. A couple more things from Spain. I discovered that there's another building in trouble, like Vistamar 3 was a couple of years ago. Costa Marina 3 has currently got the builders in, all the telltale signs, scaffolding going up the side of the balconies, workmen going up and down in lift devices, and the commercial units on one side are all closed while they do this work. I wonder how many more buildings there'll be. Anyway, I'm going to end this month's Maythorn Monthly, not by going down this slide, I hasten to add, but by taking one of my casual 4K big screen looks around the gardens. Bit of a use of slow motion for some of the fish and the birds, and I hope you enjoy it. See you next month.